The late 80s and early 90s was an era filled with elite point guards who each left their mark on the league. Due to this rich and intense level of competition, some of those players flew under the media radar and were underappreciated when they played, let alone the years after they retired. That brings us to William Mark Price, the 6-foot point guard who spent the majority of his career as a member of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Coming out of Georgia Tech, Price didn't have the highest expectations heading into the league, as he was selected with only the 25th overall pick in the 1986 draft by the Dallas Mavericks. The Mavericks did not feel too enthusiastic about the undersized guard, so they traded Price to the Cleveland Cavaliers for just a second-round pick in the distant 1989 draft, which eventually became a player named Jeff Hodge, and Hodge never went on to play an NBA game. It would take him a bit for him to send a message to the Mavericks, as his rookie season was spent mostly on the bench behind decent guards in John Bagley and Ron Harper. Due to this, he had very modest averages in his rookie campaign, and a young and rebuilding Cavs team finished with only a 31-51 record. Some of his talent was noticed though, so he was given the starting point guard spot to begin the 87-88 season, and he wouldn't disappoint. Now with Price's skills on full display, people could see how he was one of the best ball handlers in the entire league, and was extremely efficient at splitting the double teams and splitting the pick and roll on his way to the basket. He was also an extremely quick guard with a high top speed, yet he never seemed to be out of control thanks to his sound decision making, his high basketball IQ, and thanks to his incredible handle of the basketball. He also immediately made his presence known as one of the best perimeter shooters in the league, as he shot an absurd 48.6% from three-point range in his sophomore season. His ability to facilitate the ball was also noticed, and was a skill that would only improve dramatically as the years would go on. He also put up solid averages in his 32 minutes per game and led his Cavs to a much improved winning record of 42-40. His third season would be his historic breakout year and his team's breakout year as well, as the Cavs finished with a strong 57-25 record. This was mostly due to Mark Price's 50-40-90 season, which means he shot north of 50% from the field, 40% from three-point range, and 90% from the free throw line over the course of the season. It's an elite group of only 9 players in NBA history. There's no question that he deserved the majority of the credit for his team's success, as Price led the Cavs in scoring, he led the team in assists, and he led the entire team in efficiency in terms of true shooting percentage. Unfortunately for Mark, another theme of his career would begin in that postseason, as his Cavs were eliminated by the Chicago Bulls in the deciding 5th game thanks to Jordan's iconic buzzer beater. Over the next handful of years, Price's Cavs would be eliminated by the Chicago Bulls dynasty a whopping 5 times, which explains a couple things. 1, why he may have been so underappreciated, and 2, why his Cavs just couldn't get over the hump despite being consistent contenders in the Eastern Conference. The closest he got to the NBA Finals was in the 1992 season, where his Cavs made it all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals, where they pushed Jordan and Pippen's 67-win Bulls to 6 games before they eventually came up short. None of the blame belonged on Mark, as he was a monster that series, leading his team in points and assists while putting up his usual ridiculous efficiency splits. Over the prime of his career, Price was selected to 4 All-Star teams and 4 All-NBA teams, which might not seem like a ton, but when you consider the level of competition he had at the point guard position, it begins to make a lot of sense. One of the more interesting parts about his career was his ACL tear in December of 1990 in a regular season game against the Atlanta Hawks. Some could experience an ACL tear as a career-altering injury, but this was not the case for Mark, as he recovered well and came back even better the following season, going on to make 3 straight All-Star appearances after returning from the injury. I talked about his extremely efficient shooting earlier, but I haven't quite thoroughly explained just how impressive it actually was. Price is a player who would have absolutely loved to have played in the modern NBA, where high-volume three-point shooting is the expectation. He was a fantastic shooter off the dribble, and he had a lethal pull-up jumper in transition. One of my favorite All-Star Game memories was the way he put on a show with his three-point shooting in the 1993 All-Star Weekend, as he not only won the three-point shootout on Saturday night, but he was also sniping away during the All-Star Game, making 6 three-pointers in quick succession, and nearly won the All-Star Game MVP as a result. Only 7 players in NBA history have won the three-point shootout multiple times, and Mark Price is one of those players, as he won the contest in 1993 and 1994. In those contests, he defeated some of the greatest snipers of all time, like Reggie Miller, Craig Hodges, and Steve Kerr. Not only that, but he's one of the most punishing players ever from the charity stripe, as he led the league in free throw percentage a total of 3 times, and he currently sits in 3rd place on the NBA's all-time list of the most efficient free throw shooters, hitting a remarkable 90.4% over the course of his career. In many ways, Price was the model of efficiency at the point guard position, as he not only had a 50-40-90 season under his belt, but he was just a little shy of having a 50-40-90 career, as he shot 47.2% from the field, 40.2% from three-point range, and 90.4% from the free throw line. A couple of skill sets that he's often compared to is Steve Nash's and Steph Curry's, and honestly, I think both of those comparisons are extremely accurate. Another skill I haven't yet mentioned is how Price was solid at moving without the basketball and would often come off screens with just a second to shoot, and would do so with excellent precision, which again is extremely similar to the way Steph Curry plays. Pistons legend Isaiah Thomas had this to say about the Cavaliers' great. Price was one of the greatest shooters I've ever seen. His shot making, his foul shooting, and his speed made him almost unguardable in that era. When you look at Price's career as a whole, you'll see solid numbers and a massive impact on a historically weak franchise. But what's unfortunate is that his career could have stood out much more if his health had lasted longer. Due to accumulating injuries to his feet and knees, Price finished out his final few seasons as a journeyman, playing for the Bullets, the Warriors, and lastly, the Magic, before eventually retiring after the 1998 season at only the age of 34. All in all, to hardcore basketball fans, Price is remembered as one of the all-time great point guards, and as a weapon who was ahead of his time. And to the casual basketball fan, he's easily one of the most underrated and underappreciated players of basketball history. Another way of putting it is that he was the greatest Cavalier of the pre-LeBron James era, as he trails only LeBron on the Cavs' all-time assists and steals list while being 5th in scoring. So now it's your turn. Is Mark Price the most underrated point guard in NBA history? And if not, who is your choice for that title? Let me know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching as always. Make sure to like and subscribe for more basketball content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.